All right, guys, today we're just going to go ahead and do a little bit of refresher about evaluating logarithms. Make sure that you have that half sheet out. That's going to help you out. Remember, what we did yesterday is if we had something like log base 2 of 8, that meant that we wanted to know 2 to the what power is going to give me 8. Remember, it's 2 to the what power, not 2 times what, but 2 to the what power, which is just 3. Okay, we can see that on our chart. Just 2 to the what gives me 8. It's 2 to the third. Okay, same thing if we had like log of 7, log base 7 of 49. What do we raise 7 to get 49? Well, it would just be 2. Okay, remember if it was like 1 over 49, well, that's just going to be a negative 2. Anytime it becomes a fraction, we just would be a negative. Now these ones are pretty straightforward, but what we're going to do today is ones that are a little bit trickier. Okay, so if you can't just do a whole number like these, okay, then we're going to talk about what else you can do. So let's look at this first examples on your notes. So when the base and the number are the same, just look at the exponent. So if I take a look at this, I'm going to say 4 to the what is going to be 4 to the 3.9. Okay, so think if I have the same base, I have 4 to the something equals 4 to the 3.9. So those exponents have to be the same. And that's kind of what the little trick is that if I have the same base as I do number, we can just look at that exponent, which in this case is 3.9. Okay, so now if I look at this next one, I have ln of e to the fifth. Well, remember, ln means base e. Okay, base e. So I'm going to have e to the what is going to be e to the fifth. So now that I have those same bases, I can look at my exponents. So we just know that x is going to have to be 5. Okay, same thing. Remember, if it just has log of 10 to the fifth. Remember, if it says just log, that means that our base, we have to write a 10 in there. So that would be 10 to the what? Equals 10 to the fifth, which is just going to be 5. Okay, so same thing with log. Remember, it's base 10. ln is base e. So this last one, log of base 6 of 6 to the 2.6. Well, 6 to the what gives you 6 to the 2.6? Well, just look at that exponent. Okay, if it's 6 to the something equals 6 to the something, those somethings have to be equal. So it's just going to be 2.6. Okay, these ones aren't too bad. They just sometimes trip people up. This concept is going to work on with the next thing that we're going to do. So let's go ahead and take a look at those next 3. All right, so now for these ones, when there is not a whole number that we can raise the base to, we need to try to write it with common bases. Okay, so if we look at this first one, we have 4 to the what is going to give me 8. Well, if I look at my chart, I can't raise 4 to anything to get 8 because I could do 4 to the 0, which is just 1, so that won't work. 4 to the first is 4. 4 to the second is 16. So I can't just raise it to a number. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to rewrite 4 and 8. Now, I notice that 4 and 8 are just factors of 2, so I know that 4 is just going to be 2 to the second, and I'm just going to keep my x up there. And then 8 I can rewrite as 2 to the third power, because 8 is just 2 to the third. Okay. Now this goes back to what we just did, the last 3 problems. Our bases are the same, so now we can just set our exponents equal to each other. Okay. If I have 2 to the something equals 2 to the something, those somethings have to equal each other. So I can just set those exponents, 2x and 3, equal to each other. Now I'm just going to solve for x, so divide by 2, so x equals 3/2. So my answer is just 3/2. Now I'm going to show you why 3/2 work. You don't have to do this part. This is just showing you why it makes sense. If I did 4 to the 3/2, okay, remember we can rewrite that as the square root of 4 cubed. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. 2 cubed gives me 8, which is the number that we wanted. So that's kind of why it has to be a fraction. Okay, so let's look at this next example. We have 25 to the what gives me 5. Okay, so 25 squared is not 5. So we know that we're going to have to write these with different bases. Well, I know 25 is just 5 squared, and I'm going to keep my x there, equals, remember 5 is just 5 technically to the first. Okay, so now they have the same basis, so I set my exponents equal to each other. So 2x equals 1, divide both sides by 2, so it's going to be 1/2. All right, now let's do the last one. Okay, so 216 to the power, to what is going to give me 36. Okay, so 216 and 36, if I look, I kind of know 6 is just, or 36 is just 6 and 6. So then I'm going to look at 6, and I notice that 6 is just, 216 is just 6 to the third power. So I'm going to do to the 3x, and then now 36 is just 6 to the second. So set them equal to each other, so we have 3x equals 2. So it's going to be x equals 2/3. All right, and that's just our answer. So remember, if you can just look at your chart and get a number, whole number from it, perfect. If you can't, you have to do common bases and then set them equal to each other. So our worksheet we're about to do will have a lot of ones that we did yesterday, and then it'll have a couple of these ones that we did today.